the guys we've been able to keep here in the program, and again, just the fan base. So, we've been very fortunate, to be able to win a lot of games here. And I think, again, it just starts with the passion the fans have, the way we play at Neyland Stadium, because of the energy those guys bring, week in and week out. Has been very exciting, to say the least. So I just think this is a very passionate fan base, a very passionate university that wants to win. And, we're just, extremely grateful to be a part of it.
You talk about a passionate fan base. I don't know if you've seen it online, but Tennessee fans are pretty much doing whatever they can to snag a ticket to this game. What does that say about just how eager they are to support the team that they've grown up watching?
Yeah, I'm not on the internet very often, but, I would assume it just speaks volumes to who these guys are. They want to support us no matter where we've been. We've been in a lot of venues, and, it's always great to be able to look up there and see that orange and white. So, hopefully this game will be no different. We'll get those guys in there, and they'll be cheering for us.
Tim, you're not going to have Jalen Smith in this game. What does that do to you defensively, and where is Edwin Spillman in terms of being ready if he's called on to step in that role?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get Edwin back, in the Vanderbilt game, which is great for us. Yeah, so we're excited about him. We really are. He's definitely going to play a role in this game, and, he played a role in the Vandy game. We thought a lot of him, when we recruited him. So, he hasn't disappointed. It was obviously tough losing him, for the amount of time that we did, but we're excited to have him, so it'll be good. It'll definitely be a bigger role for him, and can't wait to watch him play.
You mentioned OSU being able to put stress on your team. How much stress do you think they'll be putting on your defensive backs, understanding the elite trio of wide receivers they have?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great challenge, for our guys. The way they run the ball, to set up the play action pass and things of that nature, we're going to have to do a really good job of, obviously helping our guys on the back end. But, our DNA is, we want to be able to stop the run. So, yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. Our guys are eager for that challenge. They worked this whole season, to be in these type of venues and have these type of opportunities. So they'll be very excited for it.
Caleb on the left and then Patrick on the right.
Where have you seen Arian Carter grow the most this year?
Yeah, I think, losing KP early, in the year, was devastating for all of us. But I thought, the way those guys have stepped up, AC included, from a verbal perspective, being a lot more vocal with, what's going on in terms of our play calling. So I just think the leadership, I know he's always had it in him. He's kind of forced into it when we lost KP, but, he's definitely stepped up his game as far as leadership.
Tim, when you've got a couple corners that have played as well as Ricky and Jermont have this season, what does that allow you to do as a coordinator? How much trust have you sort of built in them over the course of the season and how they played? Yeah, we have a lot of trust in those guys. Obviously you breed confidence, by your play. Those guys have played extremely well all year. So, anytime you got good corners, it takes some stress off other positions and allows us to do different things, schematically. But we're going to need everybody. We're going to need the corners. We're going to need, obviously, the front and the linebackers, to be successful in this game. So, like I said earlier, having those guys on those edges is definitely a help sake for us.
With how many defensive linemen you've played this year, can you feel the impact of that and how fresh they are, maybe compared to some years where you weren't able to get as many guys in?
Yeah, I don't know if we can say fresh, but it's definitely, great to have that many, and be able to rotate those guys, as much as we have has been awesome. And we're going to need them all, to be successful this weekend. So I think when you build the defense, you always want to build it from the front to the back, and obviously on the perimeter, and we've been very blessed to have enough depth up front to be able to rotate those guys and still keep the standard to standard.
You mentioned the vocal leadership of Arian Carter, but one of the biggest leaders is Amari Thomas. How has he helped to keep the focus of the team, especially here in game week? Yeah, Big O has been very consistent, particularly these last couple years in terms of just being a positive role model for those guys. So he's doing his job, he speaks when he needs to speak, but I think everybody can look to him in terms of how he practices every week, week in and week out, no matter the opponent. So it's been big. He's had a ton of experience, and, all those guys look up to him.
Tim, you said back in August that one of your main goals for improvement of this defense was in the red zone. Why has this defense been so much better in the red zone than you have in previous years?
Yeah, I just think they play with a lot of confidence. We play a lot of guys up front, so I think we're fresh, particularly in those moments. I think a lot of it has to do with the back end and, how high level those guys are playing at. But yeah, we've obviously concentrated on it coming into the season, and just like anything, you love to see the fruits of your labor, and those guys work really hard at it, and it's great to see those guys have played well at it.
Tim, I guess to the as best you could tell anyway, to this point this week, has the team treated this like a normal week? I mean, or are things up a notch, or do you want them to be up a notch, or do you want them to be the same?
Yeah, I mean, our routine is our routine. The way we get ready, our process, so to speak, is our process. So the kids are always excited, to play the game. And I think that's what I love about this team. They just want to play. They want to put the ball down and have an opportunity. And hopefully we'll get 4 opportunities at this thing. It starts with, Ohio State this weekend. And, it's going to be a great challenge for us. But just the way those guys have approached this game has been, very consistent in who we've been all year. Thank you, guys.
Raise your hand for questions, and we'll pass the mic to you guys. Let's get started. Paige, we'll start with you.
Where do you think Nico has improved the most when it comes to being decisive and getting through the progression of his reads?
Yeah, just for any young quarterback, just getting unscouted looks each and every week, he's reacting to them quicker and quicker as it's going on. I think that's why you've seen on this back half of the season, he's completing passes at almost a 70% clip, hitting a bunch of big plays down the field. He's made a bunch of huge plays for us in these last couple games that we needed to get going and to go get in this playoff right here. So his attention to detail has never wavered. It's been the same since preseason into season. There's just nothing like game reps. There's just absolutely nothing like it. You can try to create it as much as you want, as much scrimmage. But man, it's just a different animal when there's live bullets going out there and you're getting completely different looks, and you got the play clock and you got everything going like that. So just him settling into all that, it's been really cool to see, and really bright future for him. So we're excited about that.
We'll go Adam and Rob and Austin.
Joey, I remember back in August you said you thought you would need all these wide receivers if you were going to make a playoff run, which you're here now. With Mike Matthews particularly, do you feel like he's in a place where he can contribute if he is to play, and does that depend on more of the injuries of the other guys, whether or not he plays?
No, we fully intend on Mike being a big part of everything we're doing. It's the same thing now. Like, if this goes the way you want it to go, you got 4 games left. You got a quarter of a season left to play right here. All those guys that are here and that are going, we expect them to play at a high level. We feel comfortable throwing anybody out there. Our guys are prepared, they're ready to play, and they're dang good players. So anybody that's called upon, we expect that they go out and they play at a high level, and we expect to see that here every week.
Coach, it felt like in the last month of the season, even the loss at Georgia, but Nico just felt like he grew a lot. I mean, where did you see the biggest growth in him over those last 4 or 5 games?
The way that kid didn't, well, I think the way he was able to get to that is he doesn't blink. You know what I mean? And I said that from the very beginning. The kid's got a very even heart rate. But, man, his decision-making, and more than anything, his getting rid of the first read into the second, into the third, like he was getting all the way through stuff really quickly. That's why you were seeing, like you brought up the Georgia game, early in that game, like we're going 1, 2, 3, and that guy's getting the ball out, and we're hitting big plays all over the field. So you're just seeing him being able to make his decision-making, which was always good. He's even taking it to a higher level. So we're looking forward for that to keep growing for him.
You talk about not blinking. You go into the Vanderbilt game, I mean, I don't even think he'd thrown a pass yet, and he was down 14-0. Yeah. That next drive, he takes right down the field, hits Dante for the touchdown. Was that as big a drive to kind of show his growth at any point in the season?
100%. And for him and really the whole offense, like we got the ball for the first time. Well, not the first time. We had 2 snaps and we had the turnover. But so our third snap of the game, it's 14-0. And I asked on the headset, because I'm up top, I said, how do we look down there? And to a man, every coach was like, we're good. Like, nobody's blinking. Nobody's worried. They all know what's about to happen. And we go down, drive, score, get a stop, score, and then roll from there. So that drive was huge. And what I loved about what he did in that drive is he didn't, fall into himself. He didn't start, I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to have anything bad happen because something bad has already happened. Like, nope, that's the ball there. I got Tay, and I'm driving this thing down the field for a touchdown. So exactly right. That was a very good representation of where we're at as an offense and where he's at as a quarterback.
Joey, the calendar being what it is, how are you budgeting your time right now where you've got some really important things happening all at the same time?
Yeah, that's the fight right there. With stuff being open right now and recruiting official visits and all that type of stuff, it's you can't stop doing it. But talking with Coach Heupel, right, you recruit at a high level to go to the playoff and try to win a championship. Well, we're in this thing, so we can't stop forgetting what the main thing is, which is going these next 4 weeks and playing at a high level, giving ourselves a chance to win. So with that, the other thing can't take a back burner, but it's the mentality from this whole staff is we are here for a reason. That reason's to go win this game on Saturday night.
Well, the same, and then Patrick, and then Wes.
Back here, Coach. The numbers obviously show the story of Ohio State's defense, but looking at film and all that, what makes this defense so dangerous?
Yeah, you got starters, you got really good players across the board. They roll out there, they play extremely aggressive brand of defense, they pressure a bunch, they'll press their corners, they'll press their safeties, their nickel, they let their defensive linemen change up their rush techniques. Like, everything they do is designed to try to create negatives and to try to take the will of an offense. So they present a very unique challenge. They're a really good defense. That's why, as you said, their numbers are at the top, if not the top of every defensive category right there. It's a unique challenge. We feel like our guys are ready for it, and they're looking forward to what that challenge is going to be on Saturday night.
Joe, you guys have played a lot of 12 personnel this season. Obviously, that's something you guys have even leaned on in a lot of games. How much of a different element does that bring to what you guys can do?
I think
throwing and running.
Yeah, it's a bunch, and like you said, in the passing game too, created a bunch of individual matchups for us out wide in the 12 personnel passing game, and when people were playing wide, it created big holes inside. So it's been a really, really good addition for us. The tight end room led us to be able to do that. We had some really good players in there, and I think there's a lot of times, like when you get big, it's to run the ball, but you get big and you got those wideouts out there that can run the way our guys can. It creates one-on-ones, and we've had a bunch of big explosive plays in the 12 personnel passing game. So it's been a huge addition to what we did. It was something we knew we wanted to grow starting in February, and we committed to it, and we're seeing the fruits of that here in the season.
Joey, I'm sure y'all look at all this stuff and study it, but on third down, where's the sort of, I guess, risk-reward factor on, kind of taking it slower and making sure the guys get the right play versus it being third down on the road and that giving the crowd more time to kind of be a factor?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's what is the actual situation that's going on right here. Like, are you in a good situation, bad situation? What's the momentum? What's the feel of the game? The most important thing, like people talk about our tempo and all that stuff, is running good, efficient football plays. Like, is what it is. That's what it comes down to. And if we have to sacrifice the tempo to get everything communicated, get on the same page, we'll do that. If we can play with our tempo, we'll do that. If we want to sub and move bodies around to get people in the right spot to try to create an advantageous matchup, we'll do that. So there's not really one way to do this thing, and especially when you go, like you said, into a hostile environment, the most important thing is always going to be running good football plays efficiently. And then everything else takes a backseat to that.
We'll do a few more from the room, then we will do the Zoom questions. We'll go to Paige, Brent, and then we'll finish with Rick and Adam.
OSU, they have about 35 sacks on the season, a lot of that coming from their defensive edges. What kind of stress is that going to put on your tackles and Nico Iamaleava to get the ball out quickly, like you mentioned?
Yeah, it's picking your times to push it down the field without being reckless about it. But they try to talk you out of pushing the ball down the field. They try to talk you out of playing aggressively. So we have to not allow that to be something that we're saying we're going to go play in a box now. But like I said from the very beginning, they got really good players, and they let them turn loose, and they go play them. That's the challenge with these guys. So our tackles know, our quarterbacks know, our whole offense knows what this is going to be on Saturday night. It's going to be a fight for 60 minutes. But we're looking forward to that opportunity and a chance to mix it up with these guys.
Coach, how would you describe this year for you guys offensively? I mean, you went through the spell where you couldn't find points in the first half. Obviously, you've grown at the end here. And how much of going through the year that you've gone through helps this offense for what's getting ready to happen starting Saturday night and the run you hope to make?
Yeah, what I was talking about with, the offense doesn't really blink. This team hasn't blinked when we've had tough situations. You start off the season and everyone's lighting the world on fire. And then the biggest thing for us as we were working through and we were having our first half struggles was, man, it was us, which was a positive thing as we were talking to the guys. Like, if it's us, if we're the issue, then, man, we can solve it. There was never an issue of being stopped. We were driving down the field and something would happen. And the biggest thing that we would talk about is we don't get to take our turn. Let's all make a concerted effort not to take our turn. That it's not going to be me on this one. And if we're all playing like that, then we're not going to have the self-inflicted wounds that end drives. Whether it was a turnover, whether it was a penalty, whether it was an MA, whatever it may be, just don't take your turn. You don't have to play stress. You don't have to play uptight. But man, play according to your fundamentals, play according to your teaching, and everything else takes care of itself. And that's what you've seen on the back half is we're just not getting in our own way as we get drives going anymore. You don't get in your own way, it's helpful. These defenses are too good. If you help them, it's really hard to stay on the field.
Rick, and then we'll finish Adam for questions in the room.
Coach, how do you not let the weather affect what you want to do on offense?
I mean, the simple question to that one is you don't. Like, yeah, it'll be cold out there. We've played in cold games before. I mean, it was snowing here last week. You go out there, it's cold in pregame, and then you start playing, and man, you don't feel it anymore. You go out and you play at a high level. Should be good field conditions. It's not going to be like a wet track or anything like that. Like, that is not something that we're harping on. Like, hey, it's going to be cold. You better be ready. Like, man, let's throw and catch the ball. Let's handle it well. Let's do good with our exchanges, quarterback, center, and quarterback, running back. And man, it's the playoffs. It's going to be cold. Let's go play. Like, that ain't going to be a thing that slows us down now.
I'm sure when Nico comes in here, he'll tell us he respects his opponent and all those sort of things. Ohio State is loaded personnel-wise. You mentioned they lead the country in almost everything. When you present the scouting report to Nico and it's that daunting, how does he react to Ohio State compared to how he would react to a UTEP or whatever else?
There's not a difference in it. It's always, all right, what's the game plan? What are we attacking? What do we see? What do we want to do? How are we going to go win this ball game? Like, that's just what it is. And it has to be. Coach Hype has said it from the very beginning since we got here. Every week it's a nameless, faceless opponent. Like, that's what it is. That has to be the mentality. That's how you go on the road and win. That's how you win at home. That's how you don't have your slip-up games. It's a nameless, faceless opponent. You show up, you respect every opponent, and you respect them by preparing at a really high level. And then you go out, and on game day, you cut the thing loose. You don't play with any kind of reservations. Like, that is what it takes to go win against good football teams. So they're very good on defense. Man, let's go attack and see what happens.
All right, we do have one question from the Zoom from David Pascal from the Chattanooga Times Free Press. David, go ahead when you're ready.
All right, Joey, thanks for doing this. Wanted to just ask about the football itself. Are y'all able to use space heaters to keep those things warm Saturday night, or how do you keep a football warm? And I was curious, given a game that could go into the low 20s, maybe even upper teens, how many snaps when you start a possession can that ball go from being grippable to feeling like you're throwing a brick?
Yeah, I think our equipment managers do a great job. We got everything under the sun as far as what you're allowed to have down there to keep the guys' hands warm, the balls warm, to keep it as good as possible. They do a great job mudding them up and all that stuff. So don't think that's going to be an issue. We'll try to not sub the ball as much as possible, because when you sub the ball, you got to slow down. So we'll try to do that as little as possible, but if it calls for it, Nico always knows that anything weather-wise happens, that he doesn't like the ball, he'll just signal and call for a new one and get a new ball. So like I said, that's not something we've had a bunch of focus on from our end. That's what our equipment guys they're stressing about, so I'll let them handle that. But we feel like we should be able to go handle this well and go play at a high level.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
Good. Thanks, guys.
got you.
All right, we'll start today's player availabilities with Nico Iamaleava. Please raise your hand for questions, and we'll get you a mic. David, we'll start with you.
Nico, what's been the biggest challenge of being the starting quarterback here for your first year?
The biggest challenge. Shoot, I don't really think it was too much of a challenge, man. I knew what I signed up for when I came here, and yeah, being quarterback is a hard thing to do, but that's what I came here to do.
If you could sit down with Nico day one of fall camp, what would you tell that guy?
Stay humble. Keep your head down. Keep working and stay humble.
We'll go to Emily in the back.
Obviously, Ohio State coming off that loss to Michigan. I feel like for both teams, it's less about stress and pressure going into this game and more about just being really eager to get the party started. What is your mindset going into this one?
Yeah, man, we continue to finish our prep out, and yeah, once we get out there on the field, man, it's go time, man. We got to go play football for 4 quarters and execute what our coaches got for us.
We'll go to Brent right here in the front.
Nico, your numbers have been good all year, but they really the back 3 or 4 seemingly have been even better. What's been different for you since maybe second half of Alabama all the way through? Has there been a change or been a difference for you in terms of seeing the game, feeling the game, anything like that?
Yeah, I think just game by game, man, me continuing to get better. With every rep I take, just learning from every rep I take, getting better from those reps. And, yeah, man, we've been able to pull out some wins the back end of the season. And, yeah, look forward to going into this next game.
Nico, asked Joey about the drive when y'all were down 14-0 at Vanderbilt. Like you'd only had the ball like 6 seconds or whatever, and you were down 14-0. That was a big drive, I thought, to kind of show how much you've grown. Kind of take us through that drive, and then do you feel like that was a kind of a grow-up moment for you personally, to kind of take that step?
Shoot, I didn't look at it that way, Austin, but I seen we were down 14-0, and we, rallied the troops to go put a drive together, and it was still early in the game, so we were never really worried, but we knew what we had to do coming out in our second drive is to go put a drive together.
Nico, I imagine it doesn't, snow very often in Long Beach, but I'm wondering what's the coldest you think you've ever been playing football, and how does that affect you, or do you think it does?
Yeah, I played in the snow one time when I was in Chicago a couple years ago with my 7-on-7 team, and that was probably the coldest I played in. But yeah, it was pretty hard to play in the snow. It wasn't too bad, but it's just cold weather, and yeah, man, we'll be ready.
Mike Matthews has played a lot more down the stretch this year. Have you seen him grow this season, and what's your confidence level in him playing a game like this weekend?
Man, yeah, my confidence level with Mike has always been high. It was all about him, continuing to learn the offense and growing it. And yeah, man, I think he's came a long way, and he'll be a big part for us.
Kind of following up to what David was asking off the start, has this been easier than you thought, harder than you thought it would be to be the starting quarterback at Tennessee in this offense?
It's been what I expected. Yeah, I had 2 great mentors in front of me, Hendon and Joe, and yeah, man, they laid down the foundation for me, and it was cool for me to come in and pick up right where they left off.
Getting ready for an Ohio State defense that likes to bring the pressure, or how much does that impact your internal clock and being aware, especially of what your tackles are able to do to help prevent sacks?
Yeah, well, my internal clock is always there, and man, I got full trust in my O-line and protection piece to pick all that up, and we'll be prepared when that time comes.
You mentioned that mentorship from Joe and Hendon. When you've gone through this season, what are the things that you remember them saying that you've heard in your head as you've gone through this year the most often?
Yeah, kind of just with the fan base stuff is, staying level-headed, not letting the outside noise affect, what we got going on in the building. Coach Hype always preaches that as well. And, yeah, I think that was the biggest piece was, don't worry about too much outside noise. Worry about what we got going on and, here with our team.
A lot of questions have been asked about you and weather because Southern California. Do you think that's more of like our interest and fans' interest than yours? Do you spend much time thinking about what the weather's going to be?
No, I don't. I think it is you guys, but I will be ready to, go play in whatever weather, we get, so.
Patrick, and then we'll take one more.
Nico, as you've prepared for this game, what stood out the most about this Ohio State defense and what makes them so good?
Yeah, I think they just do, everything at a high level. They play in sync together, starting from, front to their, DBs. And, yeah, I think they're just very, technique, sound, and, yeah, man, I can't wait for this, this matchup.
Nico, as the quarterback of this team, way here in the back, how much have you felt the need to really take a leadership role this week going into what is such an important game?
Yeah, man, I think that's been me for the beginning of this season, man, was for me to take that, that jump and to be a more vocal leader for the guys when they need me to be. And, yeah, still continuing to work on that. And, I got great teammates to help me with that, great coaching staff.
Thanks, Nico. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
Well, a few more players here in just a few minutes. All right, we'll keep things rolling with Brew McCoy. And raise your hand for questions, and we'll pass you a mic. Patrick, we'll start with you.
Brew, I think you, Squirrel, Dante, probably some other guys in that receiving corps have all been playing banged up for a while now. What do you how would you kind of describe the toughness of your position collectively?
Man, it comes with the territory. You play this game, you're gonna have to play through some stuff, deal with some stuff as you play. But we got a great training staff, and fortunately here we've had a period of time to kind of get our bodies back, our legs back under us, and we got an incredible opportunity in front of us.
Emily?
Obviously, there's a lot of pressure heading into this one, but how eager is this team to just get on the field and get everything started?
Absolutely. Really excited. We play a lot of big games throughout the season. I think this one, with the implications of everything, you still try to treat it just like any other game, but just heighten your level of understanding like it's college football playoff.
Bro, I know there's no satisfaction in just getting there because you guys want to do more, but how rewarding is it for your journey to be in the college football playoff? How rewarding is it for you?
Extremely. From all the work, the off season, the amount of work the team's put in, to have the opportunity to continue to stay a team right now and not be playing for a bowl game that I think a lot of people would agree they don't mean the same now with the expansion of the college football playoff. Incredibly just blessed to be in this position. Our whole team has worked really hard, and we deserve to be here.
We asked Nico about playing in cold weather in the snow. So what's your take on playing? How often have you played in weather like you may get on Saturday?
I've played in it before in my career. Really when you get out there on the field and get going, it becomes a non-factor. Most of it's mental. You just can't let that kind of mess with your preparation or the way that you maybe warm up. Got to be mindful of it because you might have to change some of your routine to stay a little bit warmer, but other than that, it's just part of the game.
Bro, I think all of us could sort of look at numbers and see Ohio State's defense near the top nationally in just about every category. When you watch them on film, what makes them Like, how have they produced those numbers?
I think what I've seen on film is like not a lot of busted coverages. They've got veteran guys on the back end. They got one young guy that they kind of let play free. But really, I've seen them just play smart, play good fundamentals. I know they get a good bit of holding calls and stuff and try to minimize big shots down the field. Play a lot of cover one, play a lot of man, 4 down front. So as a receiver on the perimeter, that's an opportunity you want. You might get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, but on their back end, I just think they play smart football, and you just got to take advantage of what they're giving up.
Brew, as Dylan has taken a bigger role in this offense this year, how have you seen his attitude change or his leadership change throughout this year?
Honestly, yeah, I mean, he's stepped up and had a leadership role, but he had one before. And he's one of those guys that, he could have no touches and 0 touchdowns, and he'd still be the same guy that he'd be with 20. But him staying humble, grounded, not acting like he's accomplishing what he's accomplishing, I think has done a lot for the team, seeing like how to handle success. And, he's an incredible teammate and an even better player.
You've mentioned a couple of times that Mike Matthews is like your little brother. You've been a mentor to him. Looking at what he did in that Vanderbilt game, how proud were you of him watching what he was doing from the sidelines?
Extremely. It's tough being on the sideline, but that's the silver lining to it all is being able to see guys step up, make big plays, especially a guy that you spend a lot of time with, kind of more or less mentoring, just talking to, trying to help him, come along as fast as he can so he can have a ton of success. And, it makes me super happy. So seeing him score Vandy was awesome. Should have had 2, honestly.
Brew, kind of along the same lines, I think it was during camp we talked to you about, you were giving advice to Nico about how to handle being a 5-star, being in a spotlight. How do you think he's sort of navigated this season, the ups and the downs, and to this point that you guys are now going to the playoff?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking in hindsight, like where we are now and everything that's happened throughout the season, I think he handled it really well. I think he did a really good job not only being a leader on the field and the locker room, but also the way he conducts himself off the field. It's exemplary to how he should be, and he's had to mature really fast, which is difficult, especially with a ton of pressure, but he's handled everything really well, and I think that's helped set us up to be where we are today.
A few more for Brew. Anything else? Going once, going twice? All right, thanks, Brew.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, we have Will Brooks. Again, same procedure, raise your hand for questions. We'll get a mic to you. Who wants to go first? Brent, start with you, and then we'll go to Caleb.
Will, what's the challenge of Ohio State's passing game and those 3 wide receivers, particularly what they do in the slot?
Yeah, I mean, they're a really talented group of receivers. They got weapons all over the field. They just do a really great job of, attacking the ball when it's in the air and making plays after the catch. So we just got to be able to contain that.
How have you seen the focus this week? Do you feel like it's up a notch, or do you feel like it's a normal game week?
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of try to treat it just like a normal game, like it's in the back of our head. We know it's a playoff, but, we know like just doing the ordinary at a really high level is going to be what leads to success in this game. So that's kind of where our focus is at.
Well, I guess most people are sort of aware of your story by this point, but just for this entire team after, 2 years ago to kind of be close to this and then kind of have it pulled away late to be back, just how gratifying is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling to know just that we have the opportunity to play for a national championship. And, that's our goal when we start out the season, to be able to get to that point. So, it just means a whole lot to us, and we know we got to take advantage of this opportunity.
Well, you guys are top 5 defensively and scoring and yards allowed. What do you think has been the biggest reason for the success you guys have had all season?
Yeah, I would say just playing as one, playing as a whole unit, just working together with our guys and communicating at a really high level. And we just got to keep continuing to do that to be successful.
Anything else for Will? We'll go Wes and Patrick again.
Well, I guess the field is the same size no matter where you play, but this stadium is one that y'all haven't been to. Obviously, the program hadn't. Y'all, maybe a couple of you have as players. Obviously, Andre has. But in terms of that, are you excited about that, or is that just like, no, the game's the game?
No, I mean, I always get excited to go to new places, especially a stadium like that. So it's an exciting feeling to be able to go play there.
How do you think Coach Banks has sort of put his imprint on the way you guys have played? You talked about being together. How much do you think that's his impact, and how much do you think you guys sort of embody the way he coaches?
Yeah, I mean, he makes that a big point of emphasis every single year, just making sure we're all playing as one. Just that's obviously a goal that we've always had as a defense, and it's just really come together this year.
Anything else for Will? All right, thanks, Will. We'll have Bryce Easton here to finish things off.
Thank you.
All right, we'll finish today's availability with Bryce and Easton. Raise your hands, we'll get you a mic. Not all at once. Austin, we'll start with you.
Bryson, Ohio State's a team that's had a lot of injuries and some change on the interior of the offensive line. How do you prepare for a team when you don't know who you might see from guard to guard?
Just looking more so at the guys' scheme and what they do, what type of run plays they like to do, what type of runs they like to do. So just majority focus on what they like to do and not who's doing it. So just focusing on the scheme, and just simple as that, just focus on the scheme and what we have to take care of. That's really about it. We're not focused on who win and who not, you know what I'm saying?
Bryson, you've been here a while. You got a playoff background behind you. Why do you feel like you guys have had so much more success in the years with this staff than previously?
Because Coach Hype and the staff, the coaches, everybody in the building has done a great job of, setting the goals, setting the mission for us. And I feel like the leaders on the team has done a great job just reiterating it to all the guys and things like that. So, everybody's just dialed in, ready to complete the mission, attack the mission, and we see how far we done came. So it was like, why stop? You know what I'm saying? So we're just excited and dialed into everything they installed into us since January 1st. So yeah.
All of you guys have talked about last January and kind of establishing goals. I'm sure you do that every year. Why does this one seem different? And how much did you guys talk about the playoffs in February and in June in summer workouts and July? Was that a constant theme among you guys?
Yeah, man. We always just talked about getting there, like giving ourselves that opportunity, and also with the expansion of the players, now there being 12 teams. So we just want to prove to everybody, prove to ourselves also that we feel like we were one of the best 12 teams in the country. So we just knew we had to work for that. You know what I'm saying? Let that be something that we work towards. And, everybody just brought along, and we won. You know what I'm saying? So everybody brought along with the mission, and we are here together as one.
You mentioned those goals. Obviously, you got games ahead of you, but what is it like to be here and have accomplished one of those goals, which is giving yourself a chance to play for the championship?
Man, it means everything. Like being in college, playing in a college football playoff when it's one of the new things in it, like with the 12-team expansion. So it's a blessing, man. I feel like every guy on the team in the building is excited. You know, we looking at this opportunity like, you know, it's the best opportunity is the next one. So I feel like all the guys are just excited, ready to go, and man, just ready to play some football. It's been a long 2 weeks.
In terms of just being able to make the most of that opportunity, what is the key to, since you guys haven't been in the playoff before, to being able to not let the moment get the best of you, or just being able to make the most of being on that stage and not be overwhelmed by the situation?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just another football game. I know the stage and the opportunity and the hype, all that other stuff. I mean, it's cool, great opportunity. We love it, but a lot of the guys that, playing on this team just love ball. And I feel like that's the difference. I'm not saying anybody else don't in the past, but it's just like a lot of guys love ball. We want to ball for one another. We build bonds, and we done talked about so much, and we feel like we done worked together so hard with one another, and we so close, so why would we stop? You know what I'm saying? So it's not about the playoffs or what the media try to make it seem. It's just about us and how we just trying to keep playing football and having fun with one another. That's really how we're looking at it.
Since that final release, and it was a sure thing you guys were in the playoffs, what has the energy been like amongst the team as you get closer and closer to Saturday?
I would say excited, man. Guys was doing flips. Guys been doing excitement. It's just a lot of excitement. Guys been doing flips, all type of stuff. It's been cool to see. You got the young guys ready, older guys excited. So it's just a great feeling all around with the team. Everybody, I keep saying this, is excited and ready to play. So we just, ready for Saturday.
Because of the expansion, you're on the road versus a neutral site, at least to begin with. Does that make it easier to kind of focus in a little bit because you're kind of that underdog going on the road into a hostile environment versus, playing at a neutral site where it's kind of 50-50 amongst the fans?
Yeah, I feel like that's cool as well. But the first round is at somebody's home, so I feel like, man, we're just excited. That just gives a little bit more motivation. The things you see on the media or whatnot. But it just gives us motivation. And me personally, I love being an underdog. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a great feeling, dog. And I feel like all the guys are on the same page with one another, and we just ready to go.
Bryce, I need to know who's hitting flips on Selection Day.
I think it was just a couple of running. I think it was Sam, AC, somebody else maybe hit a flip. No, it wasn't on Selection Day. I'm sorry. It was just the energy. Like we bringing the team up, finna break it down. Guys hitting flips. I ain't never seen a guy hit a flip in the huddle. So it was kind of cool, man. Just the excitement, the energy that different people bring. You know what I'm saying? We embracing it all, and we love it.